I'm teaching now. I've been at Harvard and at Duke, Cash, and one of the things that I talk to my students about is trying to decide early on, trying to identify what your moral fiber is. That all of us, regardless of what our professions are, how old we are or how young we are, need to know what our core is all about. And so I grew up poor in the coal mines of Southwest Virginia, and I learned early on that you should do unto others as you do unto yourselves. And I've lived my life like that. I'm a proud professing Christian. That's been a major part of my life. I have a deep faith that allows me to feel comfortable with whatever the outcome of a decision is. And I really have felt like, while I was governor, that one of the things that I had to do was be true to myself. That's why I did all the fiscal decisions I did. I wouldn't cut all those teachers. I knew when I raised taxes I could never get reelected. But the whole time, in the stance of many from the other side, the really partisan, rabid tone that politics took in North Carolina 3 years ago, I stood up for what I thought was right. Voter ID, the Racial Justice Act, all those things weren't about politics, because by then I felt quite certain that I wouldn't run. It was simply because I believed it and believed that we could set the record straight even if the record was overridden. It's just who I am, Cash. I did a lot of time on this. I might have spent 100 hours on this one initiative. And for me, that was a lot of time. But once you dug into it, once I took it home over the weekend and started reading what folks had written, looking at the decision of the Fourth Circuit Court, listening to people who thought I was wrong, I listened, but it didn't impact me at all. I hated to see them after I made the decision, because some of the jurists are the most respected in the country, and some of the lawyers are the most respected. And who am I to make a decision contrary to all of those wise people? I just happened to be sitting at the table with the ink pen the day you all brought this case forward. Another governor may have done it, another governor may not have done it. But this is one of those instances when fate, I believe, put the right person at the right place at the right time, both in your group and how you approached this appeal, this pardon request, and in the citizenry around the state. There was some opposition from real people. There was some support from the press and folks outside of North Carolina. So this was a live political issue. But at the end of the day, this was 7 people's lives. 3 were already dead, as you've said. This was Ben Chavis and 6 other people who had, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, been wrongfully tried and convicted and had lived a life with this taint of the Wilmington Tims being found guilty. I just thought it was wrong, Cash. Thought it was wrong, still think it's wrong, and I'm proud of the decision. It gives me great hope at the end of the day that right does win out. People are kind enough and generous enough to say you did the right thing, that these people, now adults, should never have had to experience this. And so you hear it in all kinds of different forms, but it does make you feel good. But at the end of the day, Cash, if nobody ever said anything, if you weren't here and if this film weren't here and if I hadn't gotten an award from the newspaper, all of that was nice. But at the end of the day, I go to bed looking at myself and thinking about myself. And I'm so proud that I had the backbone and the integrity to do this, not just for the Wilmington 10, but also for these kids who are going to see this documentary. Because folks have to be willing to accept the fact that mistakes are made and that second chances are possible, and that this might have been the 3rd chance for the Wilmington 10, but we got it right. I think as you take this on the road for students to listen to, I've got 2 messages to people. That first, we all have power. It may not be elected power, but we've got the power of the ballot box and the power of our voices, and we must stand up and speak out and come together as a group and fight for justice and fairness and equity. We have to do that. And secondly, the thing that bothers me so much about the young people I'm around now in a new role is the fact that I don't believe, without this kind of historical perspective that you will show with the Wilmington 10, that younger generations understand how quickly the rights that we've worked so hard for can be taken away. We've watched some of that in North Carolina this year, and I think one of the most important things that you can do with this video and this montage and the history and the legacy of the Wilmington 10 is to let people know we have to be vigilant and we have to be ready at any given time to fight for the rights of others and for ourselves. And I know pride is a sin, but I am proud to have been part of rewriting North Carolina's history. For North Carolina, there is a bold exclamation point now that says innocent to the Wilmington 10.